level 1, they're going to have only 5 agility, which gives them 2 defense power. So they'll be taking some hits from the early game enemies, and starting strength of 9 is, it's sort of okay. We'll see. And they're off. So what they get in these 3 chests will determine a lot of the opening strategy here. So we're going to start off with an herb and the silver harp, one of the quest items, but nothing particularly useful for the early game. And the radiant spell is all they know, so they are going to have to go out there and punch some enemies with a starting strength score of 9, which with low hit points and only an herb, I believe, at their disposal, they're going to probably want to stick with Drakeys and maybe Ghosts maximum. There is an early town for Sylverfyre, although there's no gold to be spent. The only real useful town here might be the town of Cole, because there is a search spot there for free. As you can see, backing straight out of there, Rimuldar is available, so there will be keys at some point, but first they need to have some gold in order to spend it.
It is still comforting, though, to know that you have keys that nearby, because there are many seeds where you spend an hour trying to find that first key.
Yeah, meanwhile, while Sylverfyre went with that early exploration, Lavkian found a couple of red slimes and other early enemies. He's up to level 2. So Ghosts have hurt, which is unfortunate, because that's right in the strike zone of what they'd want to be fighting right now. They did not gain any power on level 2, so they're gonna have to stick with Drakeys and red slimes for now until they get up to a total of 17 experience points. But there are regular old slimes here, there are red slimes, so plenty to fight right around the castle, fortunately for them. As we see, Sylverfyre finds a red slime and one-shots it for 3 damage. They're doing probably 1 to 3 damage on a red slime right now. Druin looks like stepped right over the line and found the secondary zone, either the north zone or the west zone there. Druins are not allowed to be in the zone 0 right directly around the castle, but if you go north or south a little bit, you'll find the next level of enemies, and if you go east and west, you'll also find the same set of enemies, but it'll be a different mix. There are just hill tiles everywhere, so hills actually do grant them with relatively quick encounters, but they're a little bit slow to walk through, so sometimes that can be a little frustrating, but they are happy to have the encounters. Another red slime for Lavkian, so an early lead here, but nothing too critical at this point. Yeah, so it looks like there's also Magidrakes and Magicians in this early zone, so if they get like 1 more level, they'll probably go after those enemies if they don't have any specific abilities.
This poor agility score is actually showing itself because they've both been having quite a few fits trying to get away from magicians, which shouldn't generally be that hard to run from.
Yeah, good point. That does affect the ability to run when you have a very low agility score, as well as how much damage you take. A Magidrake dealing 5 damage there to Sylverfyre, only 2 defense power. So enemies that normally aren't particularly strong right now are dealing a pretty good amount of damage. So I just have to try and stick with the lower level enemies. The Ghost unfortunately has hurt, so they're going to have to probably mostly stick with the slime and the red slime for now. If they get 1 more level, they can try the Magician, which so far it looks like they're just swinging and hitting. They're not doing anything too unusual. Seems to be a few different directions that you could travel on this map. Rimuldar being to the north, it also seems to go to the southeast a bit. And Rimildar is the only location really within a clear view very close by. So right now they're just going to need to grind these enemies for levels first of all, and costs 53 gold pieces to get 1 key. As soon as they reach that, they will probably make a run into Rimildar for that purpose. Sylverfyre is checking out all these secondary zones. These happen to have druids and skeletons. It's a little bit early for that.
I wonder if maybe they're looking for a Drakey or something like that to give a little more experience but still be killable.
Yeah, that's a good point, since the Ghost is kind of off the table with Hurt in a way. And they also have Heal, as we just saw on Lavkian's screen. Yeah, Slimes and Red Slimes only would be a little slow, although I don't know if I would spend too much time running into skeletons and druids at this juncture. It's only 17 experience to get to level 3. So if you could just find those Red Slimes, you know, burn 2 or 3 minutes just making that happen. A lot of times that's just your best, most efficient choice that you could make. There's a slime now for Sylverfyre, so slime's only worth 1 experience at a time, but they only have 2 hit points and relatively easy to defeat. Red slimes have 3 hit points, so that's right in the wheelhouse right now. Magician here, unfortunately, it just seems to be hitting them a little too hard. Otherwise, that's the next enemy that they're going to be going after. I would expect on level 3, if it's like a mild boost, that's going to be the target. It's funny too, with keys being so close, but just out of reach. You know, there's the treasury right there that could be housing something important. There's the back door leading to the basement in Tanteagle, which could have any of the 8 possible caves hiding in the basement and leading perhaps to more treasure chests. But none of that can happen without 53 gold pieces, and gold is slow going when you're defeating slimes and red slimes. And every time you take a death, you lose half of whatever meager amounts of gold you had. So that's the story for these 2 runners. Looks like Sylverfyre is going with either Mara or Nara from Dragon Warrior 4. I often can't tell them apart. Lavkian has chosen the sprite from, I want to say, Dragon Warrior 3. Is that some sort of...
I believe that's the fighter sprite.
Ah. I would not have guessed that, but yeah, you might be right. It's definitely one of the fun upgrades that's been made to the randomizer recently, in recent weeks. Probably a couple of dozen different sprites to choose from, giving you just that much more replay value. These randomizers have such great replay value anyways, since every run is totally unique, but... Ghost is chipping away at Lavkian. I think Lavkian has been pretty much sticking to slimes and red slimes, while Sylverfyre has been venturing out a little bit just to see if there were any other options. But there is a town down here on Sylverfyre's screen, so we have not the town of Cole, which is the only useful town right now, but making note that the town of Cantlin is available once keys are acquired. There's a gentleman in there behind a locked door that will give them the coordinates to one of the 3 search spots in the game and a pair of caves as well. So exploration for Sylverfyre, leading to some new discoveries. So here's level 3 for Lavkian, and again, 0 power. Twice in a row we got 0 power. The heal spell, though, might allow them to chip away the Magician. Now at strength 9, you probably are doing 0 to 1 against the Magician, but if you do have that heal spell, I would actually not be opposed to just like a slap fight against the Magician. Just go 15 turns, heal 2 or 3 times in the battle. That's 8 experience points every time you can take one of those down, as opposed to 1 experience point every time you happen to find a slime. So unfortunately, again, the HP is still very low, and the Magician is still hitting pretty hard. So this could be a very rough battle for Lavkian, but I kind of like this tactic here. now that they have the heal spell. Let's see if it pays off if he can manage to outlast this magician.
I will note that while Lavkian was getting that level, Sylverfyre managed to find that Drakey and was immediately sent back to the castle on a Hurtmore.
Wow, that's unfortunate. Yeah, so the options are going to be pretty limited. I actually do like this this strategy here by Lavkian to go after the magician on this level. I actually played a seed very recently where this was almost the exact same scenario, and it did seem like getting the 8 experience points for the magician was worth it, even though these battles take forever and they drain all your resources. But it's going to be pretty important for him to actually defeat this magician after all this time and spent on it. But I think he's getting close now.
So based upon Sylverfyre's movement in the cave that they just entered, I believe this is the Swamp North entrance. So we'll see if they can find anything on the other side, like Cole. Or Garanham.
Yes, this could be actually a pretty big find. This is the sort of reason why you do go on those early exploration runs. If the Erdrick Sword happens to be here, it would be huge. And even picking up this gold and managing to take it to the shop right around the corner here, and a free key as well. So that is a pretty big development for Sylverfyre. And I thought that Sylverfyre was going to go back into the swamp cave and set up a potential gold grind, which would be possible, of course, not knowing if there is gold in the treasury, deciding first to see if there might be a hand axe available in this shop. So here's the thing, there is a key in one of those chests, so Sylverfyre could continue to go through this door and pick up those chests again. As long as you exit and re-enter the town, those chests will respawn. So you only need that one key, since there is another key available in one of those chests. So the broadsword could be acquired by Sylverfyre if that tactic was taken here.
That also brings up an interesting strategy thing here, because the next battle that they fight may be sending Sylverfyre back to the castle, and there is another town about 6 steps away from Garanham. So do you risk going to that town first, or do you go ahead and do this grind to try to get that broadsword before you get sent back?
Yeah, see, for me, I think the broadsword is a really valuable thing to get in the early game. It's just the next best weapon would be the flame sword, which you're never getting that without a gold grind. So if you can just find a way to grab that broadsword, it gets you off these early levels just so quick. Instead, doing what you decided, and happens to find a red slime. Remember, we're in a totally different part of the world, so fortunate that it was kind of an easy enemy, but probably just trying to pop out and go back into town, and happens to acquire level 3 in the process. And the good news that there is no power to be gained. So yeah, if you could get that broadsword right now, that would be huge. But
There's
instead,
power gain.
we are looking for coal, and there it is.
And Lavkian just hit level 4 and got 7 power and a lot of agility and a nice little hit point boost too.
Oh, and this is what Sylverfyre's been looking for all this exploration, hoping that each town was the town of coal. The search spot is Erdrick's armor. So that is fantastic. It's going to really boost the survivability. It's going to be defense breaking all those early enemies, taking very little damage. And like I said, if Sylverfyre can manage to just pick up that broadsword, you have to think to yourself that you can go and use that key in that door, because there is another key there. So it's a potential ghetto grind. You'd have to do that probably twice in order to get enough gold for the broadsword, but it's right there, and then you could just fly through these levels. A broadsword plus an Erdrick's armor on level 2 or 3 would be a huge advantage.
Sylverfyre bought a bamboo pole while at Cull, which is allowing them to kill these ghosts at a reasonable clip compared to what they had been doing.
Yeah, that's true. The difference between 9 attack power and 11 attack power is pretty significant when you're fighting these early enemies. And here we go. I think it has been figured out. We can use that key. There's another key right there. And yep, here we go. So the gold is being acquired. I expect Sylverfyre to exit and re-enter this area one more time to get enough money for the broadsword, but instead going directly for a gold grind. Probably taking an intentional death here in the cave, and is going to check out what is in the throne room.
Well, they did
Not
find
the throne room, the Tantigal treasury, sorry.
Well, they did find the flame sword at Kull, and we also know where Cantlin is, and I don't know if we've seen the silver shield yet or not, but there might be one of those in Cantlin too. So there is a lot of gear very close by that that gold grind could be used to make use of.
Yeah, the thing to me though is you don't know that there's even gold in this treasury, and it might not be so easy to get back through the swamp cave. So to me, like, while you're there in Garenham, just get the broadsword first, you know, and then worry about all this later. It would take an extra minute or so to do it. But, you know, we'll see. First of all, using the key to open the shop here so that Sylverfyre is going to restock maybe 5 or potentially 6 keys, depending on how much gold was acquired there. But now going back over to see what is in the treasury, and this is big. Is there going to be gold in this treasury?
This also seems to be a fairly compact map, because Lavkian just found Breckenary, which is immediately south of Charlock, and is also 2 steps away from a cave.
Remember, too, the first 2 of these will open, but the second 2 will not. So unfortunate that if Sylverfyre happened to open that gold chest second, if this last one is not gold, then that will have to be set up over again. And that is exactly what happened. So now Sylverfyre knows what is in each of the 4 chests and would have to go through that whole process over again to set up a proper gold grind. So a little bit of tough luck there, just opening the wrong chest, but let's see, trying to figure out what to do next. Looks like they have decided to do exactly that, going back through, potentially resetting up the gold grind from the Garenham side. And Lavkian, what is Lavkian doing? He's in the tablet cave?
Yep, and he just got the death necklace from that from the chest there.
Yeah, and Lavkian... Oh, okay. This is a part of the world I was not paying attention when he walked over here. Okay. So we have Charlotte Castle. Okay, so exploration going in a different direction. And Mountain Cave now for Sylverfyre?
Yeah, that's in the basement of the castle.
I'll tell you what, they've kind of opened up this seed a little earlier than I would have expected. They're still only on levels 3 and 4, and they're managing to find some stuff here. Only 1 chest opened by Sylverfyre. Unfortunately, that's not enough to trigger the gold grind, but maybe another attempt back into the mountain cave. As long as you can open 2, you can set up that gold grind. So it's a question of, you know, how you want to go about doing this. But I think, like you said, there are shops all over the place in Cantlin. Flame Sword has been seen, and there could maybe all the equipment is available pretty close by. So I think that gold grind is on Sylverfyre's mind, and back into the mountain cave we go.
We'll mention that it was, chat's discussing it, but it showed up as a bamboo pole when Sylverfyre opened the chest, but Sylverfyre actually found the Stones of Sunlight. So we have both of those key items at this point, the harp and the stone.
Yeah, and what do we have here? Lavkian, was he down to 2 keys there, or was that 2 herbs? Because he decided not to check the chest. I don't think either of them have checked the chest in Rimmildar yet. That's one that could easily be forgotten. Here we have a cursed belt, which gives us a little bit of information, but not too much just yet. And we have some gold. And with those 2 chests being open, the gold grind will be available. And let's just see if Sylverfyre can get to the last 2 chests. Oh, the other one was opened already. Okay, I must have missed that one. So only this one remains, is that right?
That's correct. Well, that's a convenient thing to find if you want to death warp.
There you go. That'll happen quick. And now let's see how much gold will be grinded. There are some choices here. Remember, not everything has actually been seen yet, but I think you can infer that there's a lot available within a short walk. So just testing a chest to make sure that the grind was in place, and then going over to the gold chest, and I wonder how high we're going here.
I'll go ahead and, while we're watching it, kind of describe the gold grind. Basically, the way the game tracks the treasure chests that have been opened, it only tracks a total of 8 chests. In the vanilla game, there is no location that has more than 8 chests, so there was no need to do more than that. However, they did not clear the flag or did not clear the checked chests when you die. They only clear it when you go into the overworld. And so, if you die in a cave having opened a certain amount of chests, then you go into the throne room. The 3 chests that you get at the start of the game are counted as open chests when you enter the throne room. And then that means that any chest you get past the 8th one, they don't have a way to track whether or not it's open or not, so they just never count that treasure chest as open, and you can loot it over and over again. It does have a side effect of, if you get an item, it will tell you some item that's stored in some location in memory, but that doesn't necessarily reflect what's actually there. As I mentioned earlier, when Sylverfyre, it said that they were getting the bamboo pole, and they actually got the stones of sunlight. So.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there's an interesting strategy here. Lavkian, I think, did the long walk over to Rimildar to just buy 1 more key, I believe, and now was able to check the treasury. And I don't think... Oh, well, he did find a chest of gold, so now he's got enough gold to buy a full stock of keys here. But I think that was the thing. I think he needed 1 more key to do this. So took that long walk around the outside of Rimildar, bought the key, and is off and running now.
Sylverfyre taking a pretty big risk after doing that gold grind and not going and saving with the king. So if they have to go to the other side of the swamp cave, that could be really dangerous.
All right, there's 3 shops available here. So, and everything is available in this first shop. Silver shield, flame sword, and magic armor, all for sale. Only grinded enough, it looks like, for, well, yeah, already having attained the Erdrick's armor. So yeah. Good to go is Sylverfyre. Flame sword, Erdrick's armor, silver shield. Done buying stuff for the rest of the game as far as equipment goes. And is probably going to quickly gain some experience points now. Let's get off level 3 and get this moving. And we're seeing kind of the juxtaposition of the 2 primary strategies of grinding early versus exploring early. And Lavkian took a few more moments to grind up to levels 3 and 4, and now is on level 5. Has not yet gone through that swamp cave to find Garenham, and had no other way yet of setting up a gold grind. And Sylverfyre has done some early exploration and was rewarded with a pretty good advantage now, and is quickly gaining levels.
And it looks like Lavkian may actually be doing some kind of ghetto grind to get enough gold to buy what I assume is going to be the broadsword that was found in either Rimildar or Cantlin.
Yeah, this was the same kind of thing that I thought you could do in Garenham, because there is a key in that treasury as well. So this is not costing him a key to do this, just costing him a little time. Just the key that he uses to open the door, he's going to reacquire it in one of those chests, and then he's going to reopen the gold chest. So this is a quick way to get, let's say, a broadsword and a large shield, something like that. I don't know if a broadsword was seen in one of the nearby towns, maybe in Rimildar, but yeah, we'll have to watch and see how far he goes with this kind of a grind. Usually you don't want to do this for more than, let's say, 3,000 or 4,000 gold, because it just takes a long time to do it this way. But let's say if you want to get a full plate and a broadsword, something like that, that could really set you up for quite a while. So yeah, just another way of getting things moving. Lavkian doing it in a less traditional manner here. And look at how Sylverfyre already is able to take on a Droll Magi. previously was only fighting slimes and red slimes, basically. And just like that, is able to take down a Joel Magi, and these seem to be in plentiful in this area, and doing only 2 damage at a time to Sylverfyre because of all that defensive equipment. So, and with that Heal More spell, you can outlast these kind of enemies. It's very quickly how this has progressed. Interesting.
Yeah. And after Lavkian managed to get all the way up to level 5, while Sylverfyre was still at 2 with or 3 during this process, you can see how much that exploration ended up helping Sylverfyre, and because there's they have almost double Lavkian's experience at this point.
Yep, that lead that Lavkian had is completely erased and has been flip-flopped. Sylverfyre jumping out to a decent experience lead now on level 6. Lavkian's still running around at level 5, and yeah, it all comes from that exploration that happened to pay off this time. And you can see how equipment early on in the game can really propel you forward. If you are running around without equipment and your stats just are not very good, you are really restricted to which enemies you can fight and how much experience and gold you can acquire. So finding some way to get this equipment, Lavkian going with the broadsword here, for example, and the half plate, and maybe was there a large shield here as well? Yes. So it's kind of intermediate equipment for Lavkian and sort of end game equipment for Sylverfyre. But this is a way for both of them to get off the ground and moving, as opposed to just sheer brute force leveling up. That was the town I missed before Lavkian was in this region. It was Brockenary. So there is an item shop here that's not too inconvenient to get to if you want to refresh on herbs and torches and things like that. So far, Sylverfyre just taking an inn stop. Very cheap inn available here. Doesn't need the equipment shop, obviously. Doesn't need to buy anything else. Deciding to pass on the item shop and just continuing the exploration. And Lavkian is still just kind of fighting Drakimas and kind of lesser enemies.
Sylverfyre had completely stocked up on gear when they got to Garenham, so there was no need to go to the item shop in Breckenary.
Ah, perfect. Yeah, the one in Garenham is the most convenient. It's like right, you walk right past it. So that's the best place to buy herbs and torches and that sort of thing, and gets the death necklace from the Tablet Cave, the one that Lavkian found a few minutes ago. And Lavkian now has settled back into a intermediate zone grind, looking for those skeletons and druins and things of that nature. That might be a little conservative, considering now he does have the broadsword and some defensive equipment. Might want to go and find something a little stronger to fight, but he was in the east zone. Now he's going to check out the north zone a little bit, see what's in this area. But yeah, maybe just wants one more level, see if he can fish for possible hurt more, or maybe getting a hit point boost would really help these runners at this point. It's a little bit tough to survive very strong encounters when you have 30 hit points or less.
Sylverfyre just put on their death necklace.
Really? I missed that. Is that right? Interesting, because they already had low hit points, so it wasn't like a lot of hit points to lose at that point, I guess. And I, like, already having the flame sword, I'm not really sure how much stronger you really need to be. Do you think it was a mistake, or
no?
Did it look intentional?
It looked intentional because they had to find it in their inventory. So I think that I guess the thought process is we don't have any need to go back into Tantacle, since we don't need the mountain cave anymore. We don't need the treasury. And there's towns right by the castle.
You know what I think is happening? Of course, with the Erdrick's armor, Sylverfyre can just walk around in this swamp and finding a lot of Joel Magi here. I think Sylverfyre feels that this is a perfect grind spot and maybe is going to go several levels, and then once finished with this, Brockenary is just right there to the south, and maybe is just planning to decurse. So that's an interesting strategy. We haven't seen many people do things like this. So, see how this plays out.
I know there's often been people claiming they wanted to see the early Death Necklace play, because most people tend to hold it to the end, and so
Yeah, I've been actually
the people
thinking
what they
more and
want.
more about it myself, and this is a scenario that I haven't really thought of, kind of a middle game use. I've been thinking about some reasons to do it like level 1, but that's a little tricky if you haven't been into the treasury and things like that, because, you know, obviously you can't get into the castle once you're cursed. But this is great. Already having been in the basement of Tantegel, already having been in the treasury, there's not really a reason to be in Tantegel anymore. And with the Erdrick's armor, you don't have to worry about having 1 hit point after you die. You can just heal walk yourself back up, and not giving up a whole lot of hit points in the process. They didn't have many to begin with, and so now just making this mid-game grind that much better. If Sylverfyre gets, like, let's say level 7, 8, 9, maybe 10, just sitting here on these Joel Magi and other decent enemies, could put together quite the experience lead, and then just walk back over to Brockenary and get it decursed. Brockenary is fairly convenient. Interesting play here. I kind of like it.
There's also a point of you wonder if they're going to decide to get decursed at all. I mean, clearly the hit points are pretty low right now, but with that defense power, you're already defense breaking a very large portion of enemies, and
yep, I was just going to say that
need that much HP for a while.
Yep, I was just going to say that this Joel Magi grind, the Joel Magi is defense broken, so you can see oftentimes only doing 1 or 2 damage to Sylverfyre, so not really in any danger of dying to this particular enemy. I'm not totally sure what else is in this zone, but the Joel Magi seems to be at least 40% in this zone, and they're a pretty good amount of experience each. Yeah, I'm curious if a few more levels are going to be grinded up there. Looks like Sylverfyre is kind of done with that particular spot for now, and reaches level 8.
Woo! Nice power.
So that power gain is probably more than was gained by putting on the Death Necklace.
Jay Coper pointing out in chat that another side effect of having equipped the Death Necklace is that it actually saves time on deaths, because you get an immediate exit to the castle.
That's a good point. I had not thought of that, but now we're going to get to finally see what's in this chest in Rimuldar. Oh, it's so important. It's a torch. So every once in a while, something important will be there, but we've already seen, and Sylverfyre has already acquired the harp and the stones. And the token, there's a pretty decent chance that the token's going to be on a search spot in this one. We've already seen 1 cursed belt, I believe. Still could be in a chest, but I guess you still have to check the chests as you go. But pretty far along, actually, with acquiring everything that's needed, already having the Erdrick's armor as well. So harp and stones in possession, and the armor. And the token is one of those tricky ones, because it can be on a chest or on a search spot. But
has Sylverfyre checked the coordinates
recall yet? Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't recall if the coordinates have been checked. It almost looked like Sylverfyre was counting right there, didn't it? But just kind of wandering and mapping. And here's Brockenary. I wonder if Sylverfyre is going to decurse. Nope. Just finished exploring the area and wings back to the castle to try again.
Going back to Continent 2. I think we've finally exhausted this one. Lavkian is in the mountain cave right now, so I imagine that he's probably anticipating setting up that same gold grind in the castle. He seems to be doing the method where, since it's connected to the castle, there's no need to actually die. Oh, never mind. He is going to use the dragon scale method to make sure he gets killed.
Yeah, I suppose if you happen to run into a knight, that's a pretty quick way of doing it. Looked like maybe he was thinking about walking out because he couldn't find a strong enemy, but oh, and there he goes. Probably a gold grind in progress. Let's see if he takes that turn here, and yes.
And we know that in that one shop in Cantlin, there is all of the max purchasable gear. So I wonder if he's going to grind all the way up to the 33,000 it would take to buy the flame sword, the silver shield, and the magic armor.
Yeah, it just so happens Lavkian did not come across Cole yet, which has the armor. So he would need the max if he wants the best equipment. And I don't remember him actually going in and checking those shops in Cantlin, but maybe I missed it. So if he did, then he knows exactly where to go and how much he needs.
Yeah,
and,
he checked in because he was looking for because he also bought his current gear at the key-locked shop in Cantlin after not finding the gear he wanted in the other shops.
Okay, so yeah, he knows exactly where to go for, and I expect him to go ahead and get the 33,000, and then they'll be basically even on equipment except for that Erdrick's armor as opposed to the magic armor. But he will eventually find the town of Cole, so that's not too big of a deal at that point. Just 4 defense power separates those two. And yeah, even Sylverfyre now able to take on Magiwyvern, so great progress being made. And being able to trade in this harp for the staff kind of while you're looking around is always good too, because if you happen to find the token a bit later and then just find the jerk cave like in your travels, then you don't have to, make a separate trip back to the jerk cave once you acquire the staff. So
well, we've already found the jerk cave.
In.
The jerk cave is the one that's directly beside the swamp cave, really close to the castle.
Ah, perfect. Okay, so as soon as the token is acquired, Sylverfyre will know exactly where to go. And has Sylverfyre been in both big dungeons, or was it just the mountain cave?
Just the mountain cave. I believe at this point, Bonus Cave and Garen's Grave are the only caves we have not yet seen.
Okay, yeah, because, at some point they're going to probably want to look for Erdrick's sword. So you're still going to want to dive into that cave if you find it at this point, even if you already have the token. The token could be in one of those chests, or if Hawksness is found, or I'm not sure if either of them have checked the coordinates. So usually when you get keys, that's one of the things you want to do, and I wonder if Lavkian is thinking of that right now.
Especially if you're in Sylverfyre's shoes and already have Erdrick's armor, then it's real free to check these coordinates out. Versus what Lavkian's going to have to do in healing every step.
Yeah, it's one of those things that maybe you just hope that you're going to find the token somewhere else and you don't even need to do any of this, you know what I mean? Just save yourself a trip.
But I suppose there's the thought that if you go to, if you want to find Hawksness anyway to check for a grind spot, and if you're going to do that, you may as well see.
Well, here we go. It's a nice easy count of 70 and 75, so nothing to worry about there.
Especially given the fact that the castle is on a fairly small continent.
Oh yeah, you can count that right out, no problem. But they do know where the swamp cave is, so if they happen to want some assistance with finding that item, Gwaelin is right around the corner. She can be rescued by defeating a guardian and then opening a door and talking to the princess there and bringing her all the way back to the castle without dying. So that's something that Lavkian could do, but yeah, sometimes if you go out of your way to do all this stuff of getting the coordinates kind of early on and actually going and finding the item, it could be a little bit of a time loss if it happens to be the flute, let's say. Whereas, like the way Sylverfyre is approaching it, if Sylverfyre finds Hawksness now, and then the token is not there, now it's like a little bit more likely that it's on the map. I mean, unfortunately, since it's the token that they're looking for, it could still be in a chest. But
and Sylverfyre has reached level 9, and over the course of the last 2 levels has gained 45 strength, which when you add that to the 10 extra attack power, 55 strength, and then of course the extra 10 attack power from the death necklace, so definitely definitely looking pretty good from the attack perspective.
Sylverfyre has 78 strength and 116 attack power on level 9. Lavkian's only 2 levels behind and has 43 attack power with like just the next worst sword.
And Sylverfyre with a tribute to Sparkover right there, crossing the bridge, going to the end of the little small path and searching.
And still no hurt more, so this strength advantage is very significant. This is going to allow Sylverfyre for the next 3 levels or so to just continue to widen the experience lead, because Lavkian is not going to, have this capability for another couple of levels.
You can see the juxtaposition side by side as Silver is doing 36 damage to the Knight, and Lavkian's doing 4 to the Wraith.
Yeah, it's this has been a story of exploration. This particular seed, the directions that they happen to travel, the order in which they did their their gold grinding, and it's interesting. Yeah, Sylverfyre just jumped out to a lead once all that equipment was acquired. Was a little bit behind, still at level 2 while Lavkian had been up to level 5, but just took off once all the correct locations were found. The gold grind was initiated and already had the Erdrick's armor as well. Lavkian still hasn't found the town of Cole to acquire the Erdrick's armor, so yeah, it's quite the lead. It's widening, almost 1,000-point lead now for Sylverfyre. And there's the quick death we were talking about. Leave it once.
Sylverfyre found a town that they weren't quite able to get to because of the armored knights with dragon breath. But at this point, I think we've found everything, all the towns except for Hawksness. So I'm pretty sure that they know where Hawksness is now, and are now opting to go check the coordinates as well, knowing to get a knowledge of everywhere that they need to search.
Yeah, it was probably just a question of routing. Just wasn't over in this region for a while, and now that Sylverfyre takes a death, Cantlin's right there. Might as well stop in while you're taking an in stop and just go get the coordinates. And next time you want to go through that swamp cave, you might rescue the princess. So, sometimes just being efficient with your routing, just kind of doing 2 or 3 things while you're walking in a certain direction is helpful. And now refreshing all the keys as well, so taking care of a lot of things with this death and warp back to the castle. And so Lavkian has finally taken that trip through and into the back of Garenham. I don't think he had gone this way yet, so he's going to take these 3 chests, which has the gold grind. Ooh, okay. Looked for a second. Oh, he did a search and it said there was a treasure box. For a second, I thought he was in the glitch mode already. But yeah, gets his key and his gold, and could potentially look for the flame sword. I think was in that shop if he knew it was there. But
I believe that he's actually purchased, or did he not purchase the flame sword from Cantlin for the gold grind?
And there's Erdrick's armor for Lavkian. We just saw him pick that up at the search spot. So getting back onto the same footing as Sylverfyre, just has some ground to make up here with the experience. All this equipment was acquired quite a bit later. But he's off and running now. They both have the stones and the harp. Sylverfyre also having found the staff cave, so has the staff in hand. And here is that cave for Lavkian, so he will have the staff.
And it looks like Sylverfyre is going to decurse.
Okay. Yep, that's about what we expected. Take 3, 4, 5 levels, and then once you get those big strength boosts, and you don't really need the buff anymore, go ahead and decurse. A very interesting play. I really like it. Very creative.
And Lavkian has found the grave.
Oh, so that wasn't too far away from where the staff cave was then. I guess Sylverfyre just walked in a different direction after finding that cave, because I don't remember Sylverfyre finding the grave before, so... unfortunately the knight is being very stubborn, and Lavkian unable to fully acquire the chests that are in the grave. But it's those chests, and what did you say? There was probably a singleton somewhere, maybe the Stones Cave?
Yeah, the Stones Cave.
Yeah, so those could potentially still have the token and also could have the sword. 50-50 chance that they could get the sword out here without going into Sherlock. And, approximately. And the token, yeah, it could be in Hawksness, it could be at those coordinates, or it could be in one of those 6 remaining chests. And that is the story. That's what they have left to find.
And with Sylverfyre using Radiant here, it likely means that they're going to go rescue the princess.
Yeah, again, this is... if you haven't found the flute yet, this, you might... If you're making this trip just for this purpose and you're going to walk all the way to 70 and 70 to find this item and it turns out to be the flute, that's a little bit of a bummer. I'm not sure what else you could do, though, without finding the town of Hawksness. That's kind of, to me, if you found Hawksness, that would help. But
well, of course, there's also the question of where is the exit to Swamp Cave, or where is Garanham in relation to the castle? Because it could be that you get this and go right to the other side of Swamp Cave and have to take 2 steps, west and 3 steps south, and you're there.
So here's option number 1 for potential end game grind. It's a blue dragon casting Hurt. So if they had quite a lot of strength, then they could, they also cast Heal as well. So this is a little bit annoying, but if you did have a lot of strength and you had Erdrick Sword, for example, you could potentially 2 or 3 shot the blue dragon and get some quick experience. Otherwise, a lot of times it's not the greatest, most efficient grind. Right now, just trying to beat it 1 time so that we can go get the princess. But later in the game, that's a spike tile that could be taken advantage of. We haven't seen what's in Hawksness yet. Hopefully that one's a little bit better.
Of course, we don't know what the Blue Dragon's stop spell resist is, because that is randomized. It is a max of 11 out of 16 for a Blue Dragon, but we don't know what that is. But if it's low enough, you could quickly land a stop spell even at this point, and while you don't need that to really survive the hurts, it'll keep the heals from making the battle longer.
Yeah, does Sylverfyre have the stop spell right now? I've lost track on what they know, but I know they don't have hurt more just yet. We have a new spell, though, and maybe isn't even going to check it yet. Nope, we checked it. No hurt more.
No stop spell either. I hadn't realized that.
But by the time they're ready for the end game grind, they may indeed have stop spell. But so it's something to keep in the back of the mind. Blue dragons with hurt and heal, and choosing to walk back through with princess in hand, take on another blue dragon in the process. Lavkian seems to be doing a little bit of a desert grind right near this town, running into some red slimes. I don't know that they have the repel spell. It would be useful in a situation like this to avoid the red slime, but perhaps the Spectre is the target. He seems to be going after those medium strength enemies right now to get another level. Again, Lavkian is pretty far behind with attack power, with only 63 attack power. You're not going to do too well against things like Axe Knights and Demon Knights and those sort of things. So finding a zone with Metal Scorpions and Spectres, I feel like that's his plan. He just wants to rip through this level and get 1 more level, see if he can get a nice strength boost or a nice HP boost. Maybe fishing for hurt more and or repel, which we know he's not going to get, but sometimes like good to find a way to get this, do a little mid-game grinding if you got nothing better to do.
And it looks like Sylverfyre is opting to grind these blue dragons right now as well.
Yeah, because they do have the outside spell, right? So with Princess in hand, at any point, I guess, you could just cast outside, and then if you have some wings, you could use that to return back home. So, some quick experience here. I don't know that these fights are that quick, but they are 180 experience each. And so only, my fuzzy math says 2 more of these would give them level 12, which hopefully that would be maybe a hurt more, or, even repel at this point would be pretty helpful for Sylverfyre. Droll Magi also in this zone for Lavkian, so I kind of understand the play. It's actually similar to what Sylverfyre did when they were at level 7-ish or 8, finding a similar zone in the swamp. Just trying to get through this level that seems to be a little bit of a bottleneck and see if you can get some nice boosts. 1 enemy kill away from level 9 for Lavkian now.
Let's see what level 12 has in store for us.
There it is.
Hurt
More and Repel. So that is going to be very nice for exploring the rest of the map for whatever else needs to be found. Thinking right now Sylverfyre needs to find Hawksness, perhaps. Maybe to just get over to where those coordinates are. Repel and Hurt More will be useful. Make that a much quicker trip. What has Sylverfyre been in the grave? Took that death in the grave, right?
Sylverfyre has not been in the grave.
Oh, it was Lavkian. Okay, Lavkian was in there and took a death in there. Okay, so potentially would want to find the grave if wanting to find the Erdrick sword is a priority. The other thing people sometimes do is to go ahead and get the rainbow drop and just dive into Sharlock and look for the sword there first, since you're sort of guaranteed high experience enemies on your way down on a sword dive. But still plenty to do here for Sylverfyre.
Lavkian now going after the blue dragon on the way to rescue the princess.
And as far as stats go, Sylverfyre is almost there. They're on a strength agility build, so the HP isn't quite there yet. If they were on an HP build, they'd be close for HP. That could be right around the corner. But the strength, which is oftentimes what is the last statistic that you need, that is pretty much there. We're still in the orange according to our tracker, but 89 strength. If you did have Erdrick Sword and you had found the Fighter's Ring, you'd be up over 130 for attack power, which is oftentimes enough to finish the game. Wouldn't be with the current MP that they have, but it's close. So they're getting there. It's now at that point where you sort of want to keep an eye on, from level to level, how you're doing, and you sort of mentally are feeling like, oh, I really need to hurry up and find the things that I haven't found yet, because if it's go time on the next level, I want to be ready to go.
I know for me, in most seeds, if we hit an hour and I'm not ready to go into Sharlock, I'm getting really nervous.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless you know for sure that, there was a horrific start to the seed or, something. But yeah, often that's a pretty good benchmark if you're trying to run a really fast seed. You want to be on your way into Sharlock within an hour or so.
That's really
close. That would be a pretty good seed. And yeah, using Gwaelin's Love, getting very close. It's got to be in this forest somewhere. Just gonna hunt around a little bit, maybe use it a couple more times. Yeah, see, so unfortunately it was the flute. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the token is in Hawk's Nest, but it just so happens that's the only search spot we haven't found yet. And it would be nice to get that out of the way, because that would save you a trip into the grave, assuming you wanted to make a sword dive into Sharlock first. But if you don't find Hawk's Nest and you find the grave instead, then you're probably going in there mostly to look for the sword, but the token could be in there as well. So still a lot left to do for Sylverfyre, even though we're coming up on those end game stats pretty quickly. And the princess has been rescued by Lavkian as well, walking out of the cave and then using his wings to return home. Do neither player, they haven't learned the return spell yet? Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, they've been using wings a lot, and that's actually a thing. If you end up going into Sharlock, let's say on level 13, sometimes you actually have to remember to bring some wings with you, because when you beat the game, there's not like any way to death warp home. You got to walk it if you don't have the return spell. So you might want to keep a pair of wings in your back pocket until that's learned. But that's kind of an unusual situation, but this is one of those kind of seeds where it seems like they might be ready to win before level 16, which is the level where you're guaranteed to learn all the spells. So keep an eye on that.
Sylverfyre has found Bonus Cave and found only gold in the treasure there, so the sword is either in Sharlock or in the grave at this point.
Yeah, and does Sylverfyre know that, or are there other things that...
I think Sylverfyre's found everything but the grave. I think they've even found Hawksness, just haven't been able to make it there yet.
Yeah, I remember seeing Tablet Cave explored on that side, and now we have the gold chest and the bonus cave. I don't remember Sylverfyre ever going back to the chest in Rimmeldar. Maybe it happened when I wasn't.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. So those are like the 3 singletons, and then after that you have, the treasury in Tantegel, and you got the 3 chests in Garanham, and then you got the 2 major dungeons. So if all those little ones have already been done, then Sylverfyre knows the only chests left are the ones in the grave. So we're looking basically for Hawksness and the grave, either of which could still have the token. We've only seen 1 cursed belt, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So Lavkian is now on level 10, which was that big strength boost. So he does have over 100 attack power now, even with just the broadsword. So he's going to be able to take on these kind of enemies like the knight a lot easier. Choosing to run away from that one, I'm not sure if they had an ability that he's worried about, but he should be aware that he got a big boost. He needs to start fighting some of these bigger enemies really quickly now. He's got the Erdrick's armor, he's got the silver shield. He needs to start fighting these enemies and getting some experience. But we have the top 3 chests, and nothing particularly useful in the top. Looks like we're going to the bottom.
Yeah, the knights have heal more, so if you can't one-shot them or get them in decent range for 2 shots, you can find that little poor zone where you're always putting them in range to cast heal more again.
Yeah, that's more frustrating than it's worth a lot of times when they're hitting you pretty hard still. Let's see, Lavkin's at 72 defense power. I don't believe that's enough to defense break a knight just yet. Sylverfyre, though, with 80 defense power, is defense breaking all the non-Sharlock enemies at this point. So, with the Flame Sword, would be able to make quick work of any of those types of enemies. Knights, Demon Knights, Magic Wyverns. Even the Star Wyvern here, no problem. So, oh, look at this bridge. I guess I must have seen what's on the other side of that already, but
yeah, it's just 5 tiles. Silver went to the end of it and searched, because that's what you do.
Oh, that's right. You mentioned that earlier. Oh, is that the town? Oh no, that's just on the other side here. Okay.
It's not. I thought that was Hawksness. That's just around this corner. That's Garanham again. So yeah, I have no idea where Hawksness is. We have not found that yet. But Silver's, I think, about to find the grave.
And notice how much walking Sylverfyre can do now that Repel has been learned and the defense power is up to 80 with this equipment. That means that you're pretty much not going to get an encounter by anything weaker than a wizard. So sometimes you can cover quite a bit of map if you really just need to look for those last couple of things. You just cast that Repel, and all of a sudden, you can really make a lot of progress of trying to figure out where things are.
And Lavkian found Erdrick's sword in the first chest under the first floor of Garen's grave, in that middle.
Okay, so interesting. Yeah, so if Sylverfyre happens to want to do a sword dive into Sharlock first for whatever reason, then that will not work out well because the sword is in the bottom of the grave. So now Lavkian can hit things just about as hard as Sylverfyre now. It's plus 20 on top of the broadsword, so he'll be up to 121 for attack power now. And by the time Lavkian gets to the same level, he'll have end game attack power. So, oh, it looks like. Okay, I might have seen that wrong. Did the Armored Knight also have heal more or no?
I don't believe so.
Looks like Dragonlord Breath though, so that's no fun.
Yeah. We do have Hawksness now, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, and with Hurt More and Heal More at your disposal here, shouldn't
Also,
be too much of a problem unless the enemy happens to have sleep or something.
Also of note, Lavkian did not find the token in the grave, which means that it is going to be guarded by this Armored Knight that Sylverfyre is currently fighting.
Yeah, low on resources, but double Hurt More or Hurt More and a big swing there does the trick. And we have Erdrick's token, so Sylverfyre is the first to acquire all 3 quest items. And the Rainbow Drop Cave location is known. Just trying to figure out what to dispense with here, and the fairy water no longer really necessary, so inventory management sometimes can be a thing, but en route now, presumably to the Rainbow Drop Cave, so that'll give options now. You can either go diving into the Sharlock or refinding and diving into the grave. So really the last 2 tasks for Sylverfyre now.
And again, it's possible I missed it because it's so close to the Staff Cave, but I don't believe I don't recall having seen Sylverfyre actually find the grave. And if that's the case, then they may just decide to take the chances that the sword's in Sharlock rather than spend more time searching the map.
Is Lavkian really walking all the way back out of the grave from the bottom floor? I guess he wants to preserve his position on the map and continue exploring from here instead of taking a death back to the castle, but that is a very long walk to come all the way back out on low resources and then maybe not even be successful. Now you're like at the bottom of your barrel here, not sure if he has any herbs to work with, but he's gonna make his way out. But maybe he really wanted to just stay here and make sure that he saw what was at the end of that little peninsula there, but and perhaps looking for an inn now to stay at so that he can resume his progress from here. But that was a pretty long walk, I guess, not having outside still at level 10.
I think we have outside, don't we? We just didn't have the magic points to use it.
That would be pretty surprising. I'm not sure. I think Lavkian still only has about 4 spells. I know Sylverfyre has outside, I saw that, as well as Hurt More and Repel. Yeah, there's no outside there for Lavkian, so pretty meager list of spells. Fortunately, they did get the healing spells pretty early. That's usually a good way to get things started. So now we have a Repel and a heal for Sylverfyre. Curious, what is the next step here? Yeah, High Spirits in chat mentioning just by the manner in which Sylverfyre is acting here, looks like maybe preparing a sword dive first into Sharlock, hoping to save a trip into the grave. And it's not the end of the world if you don't have the levels you need, because there's a lot of things you can fight in here for good experience on your way. But if this next level happens to be go time, then this could end up being a problem.
So when you're doing a sword dive like this, where you're kind of grinding as you're doing the dive, do you ever decide to check the vanilla chest out first, since you're just killing monsters anyway, or do you always go straight down to where the treasury is?
I personally don't. I usually go for the treasury first. I'm not sure if there's any scenario where I would go vanilla first, like in terms of maybe if I feel like I don't have enough resources to make it back up or something like that. But yeah, I would probably go all the way down first. And to me, this decision actually hinges a lot on how close you think you are to the end game level, because I'm personally more comfortable with doing a dive like this when I feel like I'm 2 or 3 or more levels away. because it's like it serves as kind of a grind at the same time, and also like if the sword happens to not be here, it's not like the end of the world because you still need levels, and you still have enough time to go find something else in the grave. But if we go in this order and level 14 is clearly time to go, and you still have to go all the way back and check the grave next, then I'm not sure if this would be the right strategy, but I don't know. We'll see what happens here. We got red dragons in Sharlock, that's for sure, with Dragonlord Breath.
And what you mentioned brings up another question I have, which is when you get to the scenario where you've now checked all the chests and know that the sword has to be in the grave now, is a better use of the time to go check that, or to go ahead and grind to the next level, which would probably take less time than actually going all the way through the grave, and could possibly get you the stat gains you're going to get anyway?
Oh, like if you still had some resources, you're at the bottom and you still had a little bit left. Like, yeah, I think it makes some sense. I guess depending on where the grave is, if it happened to be near Tantegel Castle, you might want to just fight until you run out of magic, and just die, and kind of like warp that way. If the grave is like right near Sharlock, then you might want to just cast outside and find a town to heal up and just go right in or whatever. So yeah, every situation's a little different. It's interesting to me that this red dragon is in here. So
Oof,
they
and
are
heal
on
more too.
They are on an agility build, and they still only have about 69 agility, so not going to be very easy to get away from the red dragons yet. We'll have to watch on the next level up or two. And here we have a death to the red dragon, so yeah.
Yeah, with both Dragonlord 2 Breath and the heal more on those red dragons, they are going to become very obnoxious.
Yeah, so it's not even like you can just necessarily count on like 3-shotting them and just getting them out of the way if you feel like you can't run away from them sometimes on your final dive. If you have a lot of attack power, it's like, well, I'll just fight the red dragons. But now if they're going to heal themselves and they're going to like do extra damage to you, and like, oh my gosh, and then you can't run away from them either. It's one of those things. Like sometimes when there's a nasty enemy in Sharlock, especially now that that Sylverfyre has the information, if it happens to be a borderline level, it might be prudent to get one more level before you dive in. You know what I mean? It's like if you feel like it's likely that you're going to have to burn a heal more or two on the way, then a borderline level just isn't really good enough to spend that much time diving in. Maybe. I mean, unless you want to take a risk or you feel like you're behind or whatever. So now Sylverfyre at least has some of that information about what's in Sharlock and seems to be going straight back in again.
21 hit points.
Interesting development now. So that kind of lost progress as far as getting to the sword, although, gaining experience along the way. But yeah, we have level 14 now for Sylverfyre, and we're getting close.
Well, we have the hit points for it now. With that level, I think taking us up to 111.
Yeah, and 123 attack power without the sword or the fighter's ring, which I think also has to be in here, right? So, yeah, you could be looking at 137 for attack power. I mean, this is the level. You want to be going you want this dive right now to be going for the Dragonlord. So this is the problem with not going into the grave. You could potentially and with the defense power now, defense breaking a lot of these enemies, you could be running away from some of these enemies or just kind of swatting them and getting them out of your way and probably preserving your magic. This could be your end game dive right here, but unfortunately, you don't have the sword. And that brings us up to another thing that could happen here as he continues to fight his way down. If Sylverfyre gets another level in here, we could actually end up in a situation where the sword becomes not required. If he gets a bunch more strength, there's not going to be a reason for him to get the sword. So we'll have to watch and see. He's currently at 120, or Sylverfyre's at 123 attack power. If you get a little more strength and a little bit more magic, let's say you get to 128, you get like 5 more strength, and you have some extra hit points, maybe for a double attack or something, you start to get to where you might not even go for the sword if it's in the grave and it's like a long way away, and maybe it's at the bottom of the grave and all that. maybe it's faster to just get this level and just not get the sword. So a lot of possibilities brewing here. Lavkian, meanwhile, is reaching, is this 12? Level 12 now for Lavkian. And Lavkian, I guess, still needs to find the token. Has not yet found the town of Hawksness, so that is the major obstacle for him, because he already has the sword. He's already been through the grave, so if he can just get to Hawksness, it's basically grind and go for Lavkian now. So as much as this is happening for Sylverfyre, there's an opportunity here for Lavkian to catch up.
And I believe that Lavkian has indeed been to every location except for Hawksness and maybe the bonus cave. And so he did search the search spot and get the flute. And so at this point, knowing Hawksness is all that's needed to finish this game off at this point. Well, I guess he doesn't know that in 2 levels he'll have everything he needs. But
well, he probably realizes he's getting close. He's already got the sword, and he's looking at 129 attack power already. I mean, at that point, you know you're getting close. So yeah, he's probably feeling like he really wants Hawksness like right now, so he can hurry up and finish this game. It's interesting kind of how this is playing out, because it may be that Sylverfyre ends up getting an extra level beyond what Lavkian ends up going at, and maybe never even gets the sword. So we could end up having a fairly close finish if it plays out this way, if Lavkian can quickly find Hawksness. Meanwhile, it's not that much experience between levels still, so Sylverfyre now closing in on 15, less than, after this wizard, about 700 away. And that's like 5 or 6 Sharlak enemies, half of which he's defense breaking at this point. So, interesting. Star Wyvern. Yeah, Star Wyvern is defense broken, so that's another 105.
And Lavkian is coming up on the swamp where Hawksness is, so it's about to get everything he needs.
And with 42 MP in the bank here, they're probably going to make it to the treasury on this dive, having kind of run into a problem on the last dive. But this one's looking pretty good. They're on the second to last floor now, so one more stairway and we'll see this whole area opening up. And there are 6 treasure chests behind the locked door here. Hopefully they have some keys with which to open that door. Every once in a while that becomes a problem.
I think we've all had that moment once in a race where we were like, all right, it's time to get...
And let's see if they remember also to check for the Fighter's Ring, which also has to be in Sharlak. Not sure if they know that for sure. I think we feel like Sylverfyre's opened all the other chests in the game. So
I believe so.
Must. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Sylverfyre is the one that hasn't been into the grave. So just hoping that the sword is here. But sometimes you forget about the Fighter's Ring. So let's see if they remember to check for that also.
That's all contingent on being able to get away from this red dragon, though.
There's the other cursed belt, which would tell us that everything is on the search spots, but too little too late.
There's our Fighter's Ring.
Nice to find that first, because then you don't like accidentally not find it. So here's +2 attack power. As soon as that is actually used, you have to go into the menu and use it. And the sword is not there. Is that right?
That's correct.
So Sylverfyre now has a decision on whether to go back up to the vanilla location or to actually find where the sword actually is in the grave where Lavkian found it.
Meanwhile, Lavkian, not needing to do an exploratory dive, decides to go to the swamp cave and start beating up on blue dragons.
Okay, so I guess I missed him being in Hawksnest then. So he's got all that done. So he is in grind and go mode. It is go time, while Sylverfyre has to see if the next level might enable a dive without the sword, perhaps.
I'm wondering, having just gone backwards to cast Radiant, if they're going to look at the vanilla chest now.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well. You have some resources, but continuing to fight enemies along the way as well. So we're about to get 15 on the next victory. And just remembering now to actually put on the Fighter's Ring, so +2 for the Fighter's Ring. And the Red Dragon, not exactly the enemy you want to see in this situation. You kind of just want one more victory. Oh my gosh, swinging at 34. Oh my word. Well, now we have the Heal More battle. Both the enemy and the hero casting Heal More and finally running and getting away. Still just 74 agility. So that makes it fairly difficult to run from a red dragon. You have less than a 50-50 chance to run each time. But got away that time, and this time finds a blue dragon, which is a lot more friendly. So we'll see after this victory what is acquired at level 15. If we get a lot of power here, sword not required. Let's see. No power.
No power, and that's huge for Lavkian because these are early levels where you don't require a whole lot of experience. So in just a matter of minutes, he's going to hit level 14 and most likely consider himself in go mode.
Yep. This could be a situation where Sylverfyre gets 2 extra levels beyond Lavkian and basically diving at the same time. So, it just didn't play out well as the exploration early in the game played out perfectly for Sylverfyre. The routing at the end of the game just happened to not work out well. Just had to choose one or the other. Are we going to choose to go into Sharlach or into the grave? Chose Sharlach, probably because you're guaranteed to have all these nice monsters in here to fight, which I like that logic. But unfortunately, we're running up into end game levels and we still don't have the sword. So almost at the vanilla location though. So it would be nice to get that so that you know for sure that you have to go into the grave. And almost there now, a couple of little staircases. I think the next one is the one. Still has 1 heal more in reserve in case something bad happens, but here we go. And we're going to get to see what it is. It's a treasure box. And it's the Mighty Torch. So information now has been gathered. Still enough magic to cast outside, maybe find an inn somewhere and refine the grave. Or has the grave never been found by Sylverfyre? Or
I don't believe so.
okay,
could be
so that's
wrong, but I
even
don't believe
worse
so.
because now you actually have to find it. It's not like you chose not to go in. It was
That's
that
where-
you never found it. So that is actually a pretty big problem.
And that's where I might consider to just go ahead and try to make your dive, chopping enemies down on your way, hoping that you can
Just get the
get that
stats.
last level
Yeah, get the
on
stats
sword.
and not get the sword. Yeah. I actually think I agree with that. I mean, how long are you going to wander around looking for a location on the map when, you know, the next level could give you the stats that you need without the sword? So kind of a tough spot now. Some tough decisions need to be made. Going back through Swamp Cave, is it, to get to the next continent?
Yeah, so it looks like we're going to the grave. Maybe they have found it and I just missed it. So hopefully that's the case, so that there's not a lot of extra time searching. Although with the detailed maps that they make, have been making, I think that they probably know exactly where it is, even if they haven't come across it.
Yeah, I remember Sylverfyre found this staff cave, and I think ended up walking west here, right? And then, oh wait, is this it right here?
This is it, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so knew where it was all along, went straight to it, and now, unfortunately, it's not even going to be on the top. It's gonna take a little bit of a dive. So Lavkian, meanwhile, is bombarding these blue dragons, is about to hit 14, and that could be go time for Lavkian. I have to really take a good look at those level 14 stats, and he has everything that he needs. Remember, he does not have the Fighter's Ring because that's in Sharlock. So whether or not he thinks to maybe look for that if it's borderline, it's hard to say, but let's see what happens here. Not even going to look at the stats.
I guess deciding that MP, not enough MP to make the dive. That'd be my best.
I mean, I'll tell you what, if you had the Fighter's Ring on my chart, it's enough. Of course, we know that there's red dragons with Dragon Lord Breath, and they have fairly low agility at 14 and all that, but I don't know. I guess it's not that far to get to 7,500 from here, so I felt like he would at least look at his stats there, though, right? Like it's pretty close, and I think it's doable at 14, but yeah, it's one of those borderline situations, and these players sometimes that take the agility build, they take it for a reason because they really don't like not having the agility when diving into Sharlock. So agility is still pretty low for Lavkian, and just wanting to get off this borderline level. It's going to take, about 8 or 9 more blue dragons from here, so 3 or 4 more minutes and he'll have it.
Meanwhile, Silver making good use of these golems in the grave on their dive down, and is pretty close since the swords in that middle chest will be out of this grave in no time, and so this is going to end up coming down to the wire.
But so Lavkian is the one that has seen all the chests in the game, though, right? So I mean, it's hard to think of this, but you would know that the Fighter's Ring is there. It actually does make a difference on this particular level here, if you wanted to pop in there and grab the Fighter's Ring. But I think it's kind of hard to think of that when you're in a race, and usually doesn't make that much of a difference. I just think that in this exact spot, it puts it a little bit over the top, so that 14 is doable, assuming you can survive the red dragons that are in Sharlock. But halfway up to 15, so it's a moot point. He's going to just grab that level, and I'm trying to remember, like, look from one to the next, how much more strength. There's going to be no strength gained at 15 when he gets there. He's going to gain a little bit more agility and a little bit more hit points. Like, what is that going to mean for Lavkian? Is that going to be enough for him to go, even though he's not going to gain any strength? Like, this is kind of weird now.
I think the 17 MP might be enough to say I could probably make that dive and be able to use a heal more or two on the dive, which makes it a much less.
Yeah, I got you. That's 2 extra heal mores. Looks like you're going to get on 15. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we'll see what he decides when it's like 2 more kills away, and meanwhile Sylverfyre has acquired the sword and is getting ready to heal up and dive. So we have a pretty close race here, I think. Sylverfyre is also like halfway to level 16, maybe planning on getting it on the way. It's go time.
And this blue dragon is going to get Lavkian to 15, so we'll see what happens, what he decides to do. This really could come down to bad red dragon luck on the dive. Yep, that did it. Lavkian's on his way out.
He knew exactly what he was looking for. He saw that magic, and he said, it's go time, baby. So we're going to take a quick in stop. He's like a minute behind. We just watched Sylverfyre stay in this exact same inn. We can potentially buy herbs right over here and get ready to go. Sylverfyre now going into the 2nd level. Seems to be fighting some enemies on the way. Is that going to slow Sylverfyre down enough for Lavkian to catch up? If choosing to fight 5 or 6 more enemies while Lavkian just runs. Wow, this could be a really close dive, guys.
Of course, that also could be offset after you kill enough enemies how much extra attack power is there and can make up whatever time you lost on the Dragon Lord fight itself.
Yeah, no telling what that level might be. Might be a really good one. Might be another dud. Right now, it's pretty close, though. Sylverfyre is fighting enemies, and Lavkian, I don't believe, is fighting enemies, but now is getting the good news about red dragons and Charlock with Dragon Lord Breath. Successful at running away from that one. Is running from Star Wyvern. So difference in strategies. Lavkian is running, Sylverfyre is fighting, and Lavkian is trying to play catch-up.
Sylverfyre going for the attack on the red dragon there and manages to get an excellent move, which means that Healmore doesn't have any effect, which is going to get them really, really close now.
And this Stone Man would just do it, exactly, but choosing not to fight that one. There's plenty of other enemies to pick off on the way. Axe Knight seems to be the choice. That is not quite going to get us there. Gonna need one more victory after this one. And Lavkian is about a floor and a half behind, maybe? Trying to close the gap.
But having terrible fortune with these red dragons. Already had to burn one heal more and getting close to burn another if he encounters another one.
Still would be okay if he remembers to check for the fighter's ring. That could give him a little bit of a buffer. If, let's say he has to burn another heal more, he could still continue to dive and check for the fighter's ring. But yeah, it would be better if he just didn't find any more red dragons for his sake. But now still about one floor apart. Ooh,
which, of course, that brings up the question of, do you think the chance to find the fighter's ring offsets the increased extra steps that you could be running into red dragons?
Or the chance that your opponent just walks right past you as well. And Sylverfyre does have the level, and it's a nice, 6 more power and some hit points. It's a clear victory on this level. So trying to run from enemies from here on out. Trying not to burn any of that MP. Should have plenty of room to spare with these statistics now.
Lavkian with a hero run manages to pass Sylverfyre in the castle now.
This is crazy. Oh my goodness. What is happening with this race, guys? We are coming down to the wire.
Hold on to your seats, everyone. And this is where that extra 6 power that Sylverfyre has could potentially come into play.
And Sylverfyre walks past Lavkian. Now they're in the same spot. And can Lavkian get away from the red dragon? Oh no, he's getting blocked while Sylverfyre is getting bombarded every step. Now Sylverfyre takes the lead. We're approaching the mini-boss as Lavkian continues to have problems with the red dragon. He's down another heal more. And now he wishes he had that fighter's ring and he's getting low on herbs. Sylverfyre running into enemies and he hits the Sylverfyre hits the mini-boss. It's an Axe Knight. Easy one, not the red dragon. No problems here. Gonna fight right through this. Looks like a 2-shot. I think Sylverfyre has plenty of herbs as well. So regains the lead after a brief scare of Lavkian just taking it momentarily. And here we go. And you always hope for a good Dragon Lord 1 fight to preserve the extra turn. 2-shotting while not falling below 97 will do the trick. So entering Dragon Lord 2 and no ambush. Sylverfyre is a heavy favorite to win this race. And it's go time for Lavkian. Manages to get there with 10 heal mores in reserve at level 15 with just 135 attack power. Is going to need some help. He's going to need a really good Dragon Lord 1 fight. So far, not happening. Doesn't have any more herbs either. That still could work. And let's see here. Sylverfyre doesn't get a good heal more roll, but doesn't need to double heal, so still on track. And Lavkian is going to need some good rolls if he's going to defeat the Dragon Lord on this one. Or the Dragon Lord maybe could have below average hit points. That's something that could save a turn occasionally. But taking quite a lot of damage, a lot of Dragon Lord breath on Lavkian's side. And that looked like a double attack for Sylverfyre, although I'm not sure if I'm quite seeing it right.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to keep track of both of these at once.
Yeah, and they have the same MP in reserves, although I think Sylverfyre is going to finish this fight with a few heal mores to spare. So probably about a 40-second advantage for Sylverfyre right now, assuming Lavkian actually is victorious over the Dragon Lord, which it's really dicey for Lavkian. Sylverfyre does do it with room to spare. Get your GGs out for Sylverfyre, assuming he has some way of getting back to the castle. The wings will do the trick. And at level 16, all the spells were learned anyways, so very good. There it is. And we'll get an SRL time after talking to the princess. 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 42 seconds. Great race by Sylverfyre despite some late game adversity. Very well done for Sylverfyre.
Coming down to the wire here for Lavkian.
Yeah, we're very close. Is this going to do it? No. Not going to do it.
And Lavkian has forfeited.
Yeah. I'm not sure if anyone was counting Lavkian's hits. I think it was pretty close, but ultimately, do we know Tilo by any chance how many hit points Dragon Lord 2 had? And let's see. I think I heard the Discord.
Hey, what's up, guys?
164 hit points.
And I
Lavkian.
think Sylverfyre is in the waiting room waiting to be dragged in as well. So good game, Lavkian. Very, very close one.
Yeah, it seems like
how close was it? Because I'm seeing IRC.
I was fighting Dragon Lord. We were fighting Dragon Lord 2 at the same time.
Okay.
Good
Did you not win the fight then?
No, I lost. I think I needed maybe one more hit. I got like 3 9s in there, and I burned 2 heal mars on the way down, so I knew it was about a 50-50. I also had a chance to swing on 47, and I didn't take it. So I think if I had taken it,
I kept having issues with my heal mores rolling so low that I was like at 95 after heal more, and I'm like,
Yeah, it was really close. I didn't keep track of my heal more rolls, but I mean there was a lot of times where I was heal mooring on like less than 20 hit points. So yeah, it was, after I burned 2 heal mores on the way down. I assume you finished on 15, right?
No, I finished on 16, and I was doing 10 20s, so I probably caught up to you as well, just with damage rolls, because I was hitting like 20, 18.
Oh, wow.
There's like 6 or 7 strength at level 16. It was like, it wasn't ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. No, but that
to make a big difference.
With the MP on level 15, I mean, that seals it pretty much.
I didn't have the Erdrick sword when I was 15. I went back to Garen's grave to get the Erdrick sword.
Wow. Well, up to NG, then I'm kind of curious about your take from the commentator's booth.
Yeah, you'll see when you rewatch it. It turned out to be a really interesting race. The end game, as Sylverfyre just mentioned, the routing there just was unfortunate because choosing to go do a sword dive into Sharlock, just had to kind of make a decision whether to go to Sharlock first or into the grave. Really,
I hadn't even spotted the grave on the map yet, so I'm like, you know what? I know where Sharlock is, so I'm gonna go there first.
Okay.
I had a general idea of where grave was because there were only a few areas I hadn't explored. So like when I went to go look for grave, it was like in the first place I looked.
Yeah, and we sensed that you were getting to those end game levels, so it was like, ooh, if Sylverfyre chooses to go into Sharlock first, that is going to be one of those routing things that's allowing Lavkian to catch up. He's just grinding these blue dragons and just the experience lead was kind of evaporating. But what happened
Sylverfyre had an experience lead?
Yeah, Sylverfyre. So what happened was, and you guys can explain your take on the early game one at a time, maybe. But Sylverfyre went through and found the back door to Garanham really quickly, and then set up some early grinds very fast for the, the flame sword, the silver shield, and the magic armor,
No, I
and
didn't.
just went
I
off
didn't
to
need
a
magic
really
armor.
quick.
The Erdrick's armor was right there.
Oh, that's right. You had found coal as well on that
Because Cole
early
was right next to
exploration.
Garanham.
Yeah,
Like
so
it's
you just went
literally.
different directions with early exploration, and Sylverfyre just had like really good equipment early on, and just went out to a big lead. But what was your take on the early game and your decisions for kind of like the early exploration? There wasn't really any particularly good enemies to fight, and it seemed like you both sort of chose at levels like 2 and 3 and 4 to kind of like look and see what was going on out there.
So when you get that kind of situation early game where it's like there's only 1 or 2 enemies in the starting zones that are favorable to fight, like I feel like you want to kind of like try to peek your neck out, see if you can find something, even like a bamboo pole. Like I literally bought a bamboo pole because when you have 9 strength and you get 0 strength at level 2 and then like 2 strength at level 3 or something, it's like I need something to do more than 1 damage.
I'm pretty sure level 3 also had 0 strength. We were 9 strength
Yeah,
for
something.
a long
I
time.
couldn't remember exactly, but it was like garbage. It was certainly garbage, and I literally bought a bamboo pole like very shortly before getting the gold grind off.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch because you both kind of like stayed in the zone and fought some enemies, and it was like, well, let's go north a little bit. Oh, here's Rimuldar, but we were looking for coal, and of course it wasn't coal, it was Rimuldar, so we just nope out of there. And then
Yeah, I was like hoping it's like okay,
yeah,
I can get 53 gold, right? No, I
no.
can't get 53 gold.
Yeah, and then when you finally kind of went out there, I think Sylverfyre, you found that pair of caves, and that I believe took you back into
Well, I mean,
Garanham. Well,
yeah,
Lavkian,
the
I think,
second
went
one
the
I
other
had to
way and
like
found.
use the herb to actually get into the second cave, which was swamp. Because we
Right.
started with an herb, and I'm like, I'm just gonna risk my herb here. Maybe it's the Sunstone Cave with a free pile of gold or something like that. Or Erdrick's Cave could also have a free pile of gold. We had the Radiant spell.
Yeah, I think Lavkian, you ended up going kind of the other way, and you found Sharlock and Brockenary and all that area, and so just like you guys you went in different directions, and I think just the way that Sylverfyre went
I mean, also
early, you just got the equipment a
sneaking
lot
through
faster.
Swamp Cave is certainly a feat in and of itself as well.
Yeah, there were some good, like, I want to say mid-ish game enemies there. Like there were wolves and knights and
yeah, I fought like a bunch of like Droll Magis, Druin Lords, wolves.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned about sneaking through Swamp Cave. There was one thing that I kind of thought when you were there the first time, you went in, there was the back door had a gold chest and a key and something else. And there was a broadsword in the town of Garanham. I thought maybe you could have actually just opened the door and did like a ghetto grind, got the chest a couple times, because there's a key there.
It did occur to me, but it's like, no, I'm gonna just get a flame. Like I knew there was a flame, like there's a flame sword available. It's like I'm not gonna bother with the broadsword. I'm just gonna get the flame sword. Our strength is so garbage that even though like it's not the hugest difference between broad and flame, when you have 9 strength, it's a huge difference.
Yeah, had you already seen the shops in Cantlin? I guess that would make sense because you knew.
I hadn't seen the shop in Cantlin, but there was a broadsword in Garanham, so I knew that like worst case there was that broadsword.
Right, and that's what I mean. I think you had chosen
flame sword
to go somewhere else, and I was wondering like, well, if you die, you may not be able to get back through that swamp.
With both Cantlin and Rimuldar available, like I'm like, there's going to be something. Either there's going to be another copy of a broadsword, or there's going to be a flame sword. And like Rimuldar and Cantlin were neither of which were risky to get to.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, you might remember when I finally got keys. I did a slow gold grind in Tantagel, and I basically picked. I knew I was gonna go like wherever I landed between 3,500 and 4,000 is what I was gonna go to, because I was like, okay, I know where Cantlin is. I didn't bother checking any of these shops because by the time when I found it, I had no money. But since there was the key there in Tantagel and the gold chest, I went ahead and did that grind, and I picked 4,000 because I was like, okay, what is it, like 3,300 gets me a broadsword, half plate, and a large shield, and those were all in the locked shop. And so I was like, okay, now I'm feeling pretty good. But then I do remember specifically, once I got that and then kind of checked all around the map, I was like, oh shit, I need to check Swamp Cave in case it goes to the back of Garenham, because the sword could be in there, which would have been hilarious. Like I wouldn't have even been mad about that, because anyone who remembers last year, that seed basically came down to I found Garenham and the sword like 30 minutes before Sylverfyre did. So
Yeah, that was real. That was a really rough one. I was literally running around with like a copper sword or something too.
Yeah,
because I
there were
couldn't even
no
find
better.
like
There were
I
no
couldn't
better
even find
weapons
like a
in that
flame
seed.
sword or a broadsword to buy.
Yeah.
So I was like limping around with like the worst equipment, and you had the Erdrick sword the whole time.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
So
so it was similar in this way. The Sylverfyre found that route quite a bit earlier, and it just seemed like the whole seed came down to, a lot of times it's a question of early grind versus early exploration, and clearly exploring was better in this case, and just the route that you took to explore just happened to lead to better things than what Lavkian ended up doing in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm also like
It's
I
just a
tend
matter
to
of which direction
like,
do you go.
if you've watched a couple of my races, like I'm a very aggressive early explorer. Like,
yeah,
if early exploration is even feasible, I will be doing it. And that's how I won my race with that swamp that like I had 1 health after getting through with the super long walk to Rimeldar. Is like I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna have 1 health, no healing. Let's go.
yeah. I feel like some people prefer to do that. I definitely prefer to have, like, I want to say it was like level 8 before we got heal more or something like that, and the HP was still garbage. So I'm like, okay, I can finally. And then what was it? I think it was like level 7 gave like 23 attack power, and level 8 gave like 30.
Oh, I
and I'm
know,
like,
right?
okay,
And then
I can actually.
so another
fight
thing that
stuff
actually
now.
didn't get brought up. I put on the death necklace at level 4.
Oh wow!
I knew there was
I was
something
just about
to ask you
about
about.
that.
Wow,
Because it's like we still have 10 strength. Even with my flame sword, I'm only doing 9 damage to Droll Magis.
Yeah, that was.
I'm putting
that
on the
was
death
bonkers.
necklace.
Yeah,
And
that was cool because you knew what rock
either we're gonna have crap strength the entire seed, and the death necklace is just gonna be necessary in the end, or we're gonna get great strength, and then I could take it off because Breckenaire's right there.
Did you end up? Oh, you did end up taking it off.
Yeah. With the agility build, I didn't even have 130 HP.
Oh,
so I
you
wouldn't
ran.
even...
Oh, you were going agility too. Interesting.
Yeah, I did agility as well.
Yeah, it's so uncommon that comes into play, and I thought it worked out great. And you found that little swamp area with the Joel Magi, and you just kind of grinded 2 or 3 levels with that extra strength that you got from the Death Necklace. It worked out perfectly.
Yeah, I was
and
even able to
Brockenary
punch.
was right there. You'd already been into Tanteagle to raid the treasury and all that, so you didn't need to go in there for any reason. Once you were cursed, it was okay. And yeah, it was. I liked it, and I figured you would probably take it off at some point.
Yep, I did.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I think another unfortunate thing is I was getting a little frustrated on the second continent because I had everything. I even grabbed the princess, and I found the fairy flute, and I was like, okay, I just need to find Hawksness. And I want to say it took
it took me a long time to find Hawksness as well. I looked
Oh
the
my
entire
goodness.
right side of that continent
yeah,
before I
exactly.
finally went left and found.
Because once you found, like, if you go right from,
especially because
like,
right was where we needed to go for the coordinates.
Yeah, right's where you need to go for the
like,
coordinates, and then north.
Of course, I'm going to
like,
explore that side first.
Yeah, and then north like leads you to Bonus Cave, and then there's like a million other like little offshoots there. And then I remember walking. I'm like, I got completely lost. Found my way back to Garenham. I'm like, all right, I'm pretty sure I checked the right side. Let's check the left side. And then I go back up, and then like just above Garenham is Hawksness. I'm like, I was saying a lot of 4 letters.
No, I made that exact same mistake. So
Man.
that's a bit of a wash for both of us, I guess. But I didn't see Garen's grave, so that burnt me pretty badly because I was still using Flame Sword on my first Sherlock dive, and I actually had like those red dragons. My gosh, they were mean.
Yeah, and the armored knights too.
Armored Knights,
were
at least they
also-
cast hurt. sometimes.
spell.
No, stop
Yeah, that
spell.
cost you 2 heal mores on the way down, right, Lavkian? I think if that didn't happen to you, you probably would have had it on 15.
I mean, part of the
Oh,
reason I went
absolutely.
for 16, part of the reason I went for 16 was because I knew how dangerous those red dragons were, and I'm like, it is very likely to lose heal mores to a red dragon like that on your way down.
Really?
But
Where
you
where
guys
did you
both
see
went
one?
strength agility, and you didn't really
both
get very good
both
agility.
both the first and second floor and the last 3 floors had red dragons.
Oh, right. I thought you were saying you found one outside of Charlock. So I hadn't been in Charlock at all. Like once I hit 15, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go for it. Like this is the level where if I can make it down.
Oh yeah. Whereas I had done like a sword dive and came up with a fighter's ring. And,
yeah, I was really thinking about grabbing that fighter's ring, but I considering like we were both on Dragonlord 2 at the same time, I think that would have sealed the loss. So so yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that we were able to put on a close race. It's definitely not often that both players are on Dragonlord 2 at the same time.
Yeah,
so
that's
good
pretty
game,
cool.
man.
Good game.
Y'all were
Alright, good
actually
game,
racing
guys.
each other back and forth, kept passing each other back and forth. There were points where y'all were on a battle on the exact same square during your dives. It was amazing.
Nice.
That's awesome. That sounds like it was a lot of
I
fun
will
to call.
say that kind of Sherlock is why I play agility builds. Because
Absolutely.
when you have Dragon Lord Breath red dragons that you can't kill because they have heal more,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the 20% or so difference in like the running away between like 70 and 80 agility is a world of difference.
Yeah, I'm actually curious. I know I was on 78 agility at level 15. Do you
It was
happen to
only
remember what-
81 at 16.
Okay, so it
it wasn't that much better.
Yeah, it wasn't that much better. I will say that, I mean, yeah, unfortunately I did end up having to burn a couple heal mores, but I mean, yeah, I didn't encounter, I think I encountered like 2 or 3 red dragons on the first 2 floors, and I didn't see any again until the very last floor, and
Wow.
I got, and I got away from, I'm pretty sure I got away from like 3 red dragons first try on the last floor, so
Wow.
I can't even.
I mean, I got away from them like first try like a couple times, but I definitely ate some hits, and I think I killed one too because like I just like went into the fight at full health. I think it was early on, and I'm just like, no, you're gonna die.
I was also getting very anxious to see what the spike tile monster was. I was very happy to see it was just a regular axe knight.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was either. I just turned around and went back up to the vanilla Erdrick sword chest after clearing the treasury. I was also gaining XP during that time because I was like still 14 on my first, like I went in my first dive at like 13, I want to say.
Oh wow, I'm surprised. Like once I got everything together, I was like, nope, blue dragon still, it's go time.
Well, remember, I'm missing the Erdrick sword, so like you were like regaining by just power grinding that blue dragon while I was fussing around trying to find the sword.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, it was a very good game for both of you. Looks like, let's see, Sylverfyre, you are 2-1 now, so
Yep.
puts yourself in a position to move on with another victory. Lavkian, you fall to 1-2, but you have 2 more matches. It's a 5-round Swiss style.
Yeah, I
tournament
gotta win. It's pressure's on
here.
now.
The pressure's gonna be on, and yeah, so we still have 2 more weeks of great racing to come. We have a few more matches, I think, for round 3 over the next few days as well. So that's gonna wrap it up. I think it was a great race. I'm glad everybody that viewed had a chance to watch a real exciting finish there. And special thanks to MathGirl718 for tracking and our restreamer High Spirits for restreaming. You know, the show can't go on without the restreamers, so appreciate that as well. And thanks a lot to Tilo for joining me tonight on the comms. And I guess that's going to do it. So thanks everybody for watching. Have a great night.
Yeah,
Right.
thanks for all
Good
the
game,
hard
good
work
game.
behind the scenes, guys. Good game.
That's I like having close races, so that was great.
Yeah, that's especially for how divergent our paths were. That's
Really.
That's as close as it gets. Did you? Oh, you know what? And you know what would have been funny too? If I had actually beat Dragon Lord, I was thinking about this the entire dive. I don't know if we're offline now, but I could say.